Namaste. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I know you're seeing me, Wendy Stuart, sitting here by my lonesome next to my favorite red pillow that Tim Moss and I always have between us. Well, you're probably wondering, where is Tim Moss today? Tim Moss is Gay Pride. I always say that. And right now he can be found at Queen's Pride. Tim is an amazing performer. He's performing there. So he won't be here today, but I'm going to give you lots and lots of love. Now, speaking of Pride, oh my gosh, it's like New York has totally opened up. It's just crazy. The bars are hopping. Club nights are hopping again. And it's just so incredible watching all this happen around us. Right now, I'm broadcasting from PANGEA on the Lower East Side. And I have to tell you, Tim Moss is going to be performing here in his cabaret act on June 20th. But they also have performers here all the other times. So please come by. There's great food here. And we also have a GoFundMe campaign that I wanted to call out right now. You know, even though places are opening up and they're starting to get it busy again, your small businesses still need to have their GoFundMe pages because landlords still need to be paid the rent. And just about everyone I know with a small business has fallen, of course, behind in the rent. It's been impossible through the pandemic to keep it going. So please, if you can give to PANGEA's GoFundMe, that would be really great. So I had an amazing weekend. I gave my first big event with Triversity, the LGBTQ that I work with, and my co-host on my other show, Triversity Talks, Stephen Bloomer-Teague, and I gave a really great event. We had close to 70 people. It was called Dancing Under the Stars. We coupled with another organization, Sussex County Pride, and it was just so great to see people dancing again. Oh my God, what was that like? I can't wait to get out on the dance floor. But enough about me. Let me tell you about today's guest. You've seen him on Showtime in Work in Progress. He was nominated as the best entertainer at the Chicago Music Awards for EDM. He also has a new EP out called New Jack City, which I'm really excited for him to talk about. And he's a character. Can you believe it? A character in a video game? Who gets to do that? I'll tell you who gets to do that. Please welcome Dantés Alexander.
Thank you, guys. Wow, that's a lot. Thank you for having me.
A lot, but you know what? There's a lot about you, Dantés. You know, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and talk to me. Tim is here in spirit, so I'll say,
hey, Tim, how are you?
Talk to us. So, how have you been doing, Dantés? We're just coming out of this pandemic.
Oh God, I have been really, really busy.
I would hope.
Yeah, it's been scarily busy. We have like a ton of projects going on. I've just tried to stay busy. I think the pandemic has actually forced me to increase my artistic output. So I started recording under pseudonyms and.
Oh, wait a sec. You can't throw that into my universe without me asking. I need to know this. I live for pseudonyms. Could you tell us?
It's backwards.
It's backwards. Alexander Dantès.
Close.
But no cigar. Okay. You
close.
Beg for it.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you after the show. Okay. You'll laugh at it.
We'll keep our audience guessing too. So that's really fabulous. That's what we call ass backwards, actually.
Well, that's the idea, right?
Oh, I totally love it. So you are now recording under, so what would make you want to do that? Tell me why.
Well, I think the idea of being able to create without stereotypes and being bound by genres is very important for me. You know, as a human being and as a lover of music, there is a certain fluidity that I think all of the genres share between each other. So from, you know, disco to, you know, alternative rock, rap, R&B, you know, there's all a fusion, you know, between all of them because all of them came from one place. So, yeah.
So they did all come from one place. Now, your early influence, who were some of the people that influenced that then early on?
Gosh, I have a lot of influences. George Michael,
Love.
Prince. I love Prince.
Love Prince.
Michael Jackson. I love RuPaul. Janet Jackson.
Okay. And what about Sylvester?
Oh, you know what? I have a lot of love and respect for Sylvester. Sylvester is somebody who needs no nod to, because he exists solely in a sonic space, who allows people like me and all of the other entertainers out here who are different to do what they do. So we love Sylvester. We fucking love Sylvester.
You make me feel unreal.
Yeah, and then he's got such a great catalog. My favorite actually of his is the "You Make Me Feel" reprise, where it's just him, Martha Wash, and unfortunately I forgot the other woman's name who was part of Two Tons of Fun, but it was just
okay. But you know what I'm going to do when this is all over? I'm going to Google it and listen to it. Thank you for putting that in my brain space for me.
Because it was just like a church song. They stripped "You Make Me Feel" down to a church song, and it will bring like goosebumps to like whatever hairs that we have on our body. It's just
it really turns me on that you can see and feel that, all right, because that's coming at it from a totally different intention that Sylvester had. So with your own music, you've been called like the Prince of EDM, nominated at the Chicago Music Awards. How do you feel about being called that?
I think it's a great honor. It's not something I take lightly, but also with that title also comes restriction, or what would be perceived restriction. So the idea is always to grow and always to continuously push boundaries. I'm always grateful for the love and reception that I receive from everywhere. It's like I've been accepted by this community and this family that I had no idea existed out here for me. I get a little emotional. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm going to cry right now.
No, I make everybody cry. This is like my talent. It's okay. You can go, because what happens is you're going to make me cry, but I totally knowing about your spirit and how God, it's cool. You're good. How God influences you and how this community that you are a part of, how wonderful, because we're talking about community now. All right. You're not out there on your own. You have all these people that have your back, which is so amazing.
It's, I felt lost, man. Until I found, certain people and they know who they are.
What do you think, Dantès, made you feel lost? Like, first of all, in what part of your career? I'm curious, because people watch this show and there's so much that you're saying that people can identify with. So was this like early on? Was this recently? Like, where in your lifetime line?
I mean, just a lifetime of tragedy and trying to figure out where you fit in and how things are and where you belong. And I've spent a lifetime trying to find respect and I have it now, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's a really good thing. I'm going to ask you where your early love of music came from. Did you grow up in a musical home? Like, what was your situation that got you so involved and got you to where you are now?
Well, I grew up in the system. I didn't grow up with my family. So I grew up, in the system, and I grew up around a variety of different cultures and races and people. White people, Oriental people. It was like college before college. I love it. I was talking to a mentor of mine actually about that, like a few days ago. Even though it was a horrible experience, it was something that was definitely, instrumental into, my foundation. So, every year, for Black History, on campus. So think of this orphanage like a college campus for kids. There being like 24 different homes, 12 on each floor, So we're talking big, big population. So we would put on these performances every year for the entire campus. And
Wow.
then we would have, celebrities, would come out to, support like Cristo from the Chicago Bears, all of these things. So, music was always something that was, instrumental in my upbringing. Like they, had me doing tap dance. I played all the other sports that the boys played too and all that stuff. But I think they always knew that, this was something that, I was eventually going to, end up doing. And it took me so long to get here because I had to stumble around and make mistakes and go through, hardships and adversities and abusive relationships and stuff like that. And,
Yeah, but hello, you're naming like everything, right? That makes us who we are.
I love it though.
If you can come through it and get to the other side of it, then you can really create. Because you've got, you know what? If you had some mediocre, I'm going to say it, lily white life, you and I would not be having this conversation right now because you would be another person.
Yeah, I'm grateful for those experiences. I think a lot of people are scared to share, those things. But like I always say, just sharing those things, with people will allow them to stand behind you and love you because you're being authentic, and that's something that they can see in themselves.
Right.
And that, I think that's important for a lot of people in this day and age,
How did you finally harness your power? Okay, find your base, push it forward.
Oh man, it really took a long time for the people that were supposed to come into my life to come into my life.
By the way, Dantès, you're talking like you're 50 years old. You're so much younger than that. I know you probably like me, you're impatient, but you know what? Mm-hmm. They came when they were supposed to come. You're young. You got it all.
They came when they were supposed to come. But see, the problem is like when you go through so much so early, it's like you're forced to grow up a lot sooner, than what you're supposed to, like being in the system. It's like, think of it like the Jungle Book or like the Lord of the Flies. You're out there, essentially raising yourself and hopefully with the guidance of some few good staff members. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're right. I will agree with that.
But the thing that you just brought out about being raised in the system, I'm curious, do you go speak to other kids that are being raised in the system? Because I'm looking at you here and I'm like, what an inspiration, you would make any kid think the sky is the limit.
No, not yet. I have gotten, well, at least it has been brought up. You're probably the second or maybe third person that's brought that up.
But I'm not going to let go. I'm a pit bull when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I mean, it's definitely, it's definitely coming. I feel like it's definitely coming, down the line. I'm a very concerned person. I especially like if you listen to a lot of my music, I incorporate all of my concerns and into my music, and youth violence and things like that, gun violence. Those are things that are very important to me. Because these are things that happen. And you're right. You have to go and mentor to to the youth. So if you're already doing that, then you're my hero. I love you for that.
Exactly.
And you just inspired me to explore that concept and that idea a little bit more.
Yeah, why not? So your newest project, New Jack City, there was a whole show called New Jack City. So what's the connection between your New Jack City, and there has to be some kind of connection, a basis?
Well, I think the connection between the movie is it's all about ideology, right? And mindset and harnessing your power, like you say, right? And essentially, that movie, it doesn't get a lot of credit, I suppose, in like the Black lexicon of like movies that you should watch, or, there's movies that every generation has to watch, like Stand By Me.
Right.
It's the same thing with like Black folks too. You get what I'm saying? It's the same thing. And that movie essentially, was about your mind and the power of the mind. You had one person, the leader of the gang, who Nino Brown, And, you know, his group and his thugs literally took over the whole city and a whole entire apartment complex to run their drug empire by the power of the mind.
Right.
And then there is the power of the mind. You know, it presents itself again in, you know, Ice-T's character, and then also in, you know, his co-star's character, because they also have to use their mind to infiltrate, you know, that space by only thinking the way that they think. So that's a very powerful narrative, you know, for me, you know, and growing up, you know, in an urban environment, and even still existing in an urban environment.
Right.
You know, so the power of the mind is a very powerful thing. It's a film to me on the same equation, perhaps, as maybe The Matrix. It's a very powerful movie that combines real world narratives that we all have seen, or because we live in the cities, we know what, you know, drugs, we see drug transactions happen in front of us. You know, so it's what it's about, you know.
I love that you brought up the power of the mind. So that's obviously something that you believe in a great deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How could I not? You know,
Right.
we have the power to manifest and change our circumstance and our environment just by planting a seed. You know, and I don't think people realize that that seed does take time to water and grow. And I'm
Well, that's
starting
what I just said to you. The people that are meaningful in your life, they weren't ready to come in before, you know.
They weren't, and I'm so grateful that the seeds are sowing and everything is beautiful.
Bloom here today.
Yes.
Power of the mind is something I totally believe in, and being able to manifest your own future. But so many times, and I know you know this, my God, better than so many, there's all of these distractions around us, and they're put there. They are put there in the universe, and they really can, you know, take you off the road that you're supposed to be on. How did you keep on a path, okay, to produce the career that you have? I mean, you're an actor, you're a model, you're a recording artist, and now you have a video game. And I am sure there's probably 10 other things that I don't even know about that are out there. How did you force yourself to keep yourself focused?
Well, I think sacrifices have to be made. Excuse me. I think sacrifices and discipline, you know, have you know, those are important. Sometimes influences, people can prohibit the creativity. So you have to remove yourself, or find a way to remove yourself from that environment to just be a little narcissistic and say, I need some me time. You know, I've done enough of people pleasing. I've done enough of trying to worry about what everybody else is doing. Now I'm going to concern myself only with what me.
Right. Was that hard for you to do, though?
Oh, absolutely. Of course it was, because it was something that people weren't expecting. They thought it was going to be the way, you know, that the blinders were going to be on.
Of course. What was it? I'm curious what the reaction was then.
Oh, lots of phone calls. Lots of phone calls. I'm so, you know, off the grid now that you can only contact me on WhatsApp or send an email. So, and it has to be that way so I can create, and I need people to be respectful of that and my choices.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard though to do that. It took me a really long time to learn how to put up those boundaries and those fences, and who to let in and who not to let in, you know, because in the entertainment industry, a large portion of us, if not most of us, we're people pleasers. That's what it's about, right? Getting people to like you and approve of you. And that's something that we learn is not a good thing for us as creative people. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to dance to your own drum.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's something that will allow you to be happy, because if you're not doing that, you're going to be completely miserable.
Right.
You know, everything that you do will be miserable.
Were you miserable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because, you know, I couldn't do it. Like, they were driving me crazy. Like, I couldn't do anything for myself. And I'm like, oh my goodness, man. I'm like, I can't be your accountant, lawyer, and all. You know, and just.
I get it. I love those last words. I don't know what they mean. I'm going to have to call my translator. No, but I can hear your frustration in that and with dealing with people. So with the projects that you started to work on during the pandemic, I'm curious, do you think the pandemic sprouted this extra creativity, the listening to oneself? How did it affect you?
I think it definitely spurred some extra creativity, if I can say that. It's forced me to find a better way to connect with the Dantes fans and the public. I actually enjoy, talking to my listeners. These are people that, that I talk to every day. I've already started recording another project already. It might be a little early.
Never too early.
So I think that the pandemic has actually opened my eyes. I like I said, we've been busier than ever. I know you've been busy.
Yeah. But I'm extremely extroverted, like insanely extroverted. I'm at clubs. I need people around me all the time. This, I got to tell you, for me, was like New York. When we shut down here, Dantes, there was no indoor dining. And I'm not kidding you. It would be 25 degrees. I'd be freezing my cañones off out there, but I would have like little dinner parties that for whoever would show up. Sitting outside, in restaurants. Listen, you do what you got to do. And like you, yes, I created, but I still had to find a way to have people around me. It's interesting. I was talking to some people who are introverted. They freaking loved it. They love not seeing anybody.
Yeah, trust me. I'm like,
right.
Let me knock out a few albums. Let me knock out a game. Let me knock out a comic.
I love it. A few albums, a game.
Few albums. By the time the world wakes the hell up, honey, we're gonna be like 4 albums deep.
That's exactly right. And you know what I say? And ready to move, ready to be out there, ready to move.
Like we talked about in our lovely chat a couple of days ago.
Oh, it was yesterday, but yesterday, the day before, does it even matter? It was yesterday.
Child, we still busy.
You know what? I'm on pandemic time all the time now anyway. Some days have no beginning, middle, or end. Sometimes I still don't know what the day of the week is. And you got to say to yourself, does it really matter? No, it doesn't.
No, I think I actually stopped. I think the only time I pay attention to the calendar is when there's a ding that comes up. I'm like, oh, ding. It's time to go hang out with my girl right now.
Yeah, ding. Got to be there. Wendy's there on the line. So you had done a show for Showtime called Work in Progress. First, how apropos is that title for you?
It's so ironic, right? Work in progress, right? It was a great experience. It was an experience I think that mimics, a lot of people. It's essentially, they're actually shooting season 2 now. I'm not a part of it, but I know that the show is obviously going to be, a bigger success than season 1. So I'm rooting for, everybody, who's filming right now. But the show literally is about a lesbian who falls in love with a trans man. So there's a lot of uncomfortable, gender stereotypes that are confronted throughout the show, and the main character deals with, her stress and, her life by consuming almonds. So 180 almonds.
Okay, that's genius. You got to stop right there. Come on, that's a fetish, an almond fetish. How funny is that?
Right, so you got that right, and that's why, I think that's why the show has, garnered the success that it has. I actually would go as far as to saying like it probably would be like this generation's Queer as Folk.
I would think. I actually went online to read about the show, and I can't believe, you know what? I don't get Showtime, which is why I didn't know about it. There's just so much out there. But I think having these kinds of characters is very important now, because they're not just characters in a show, Dantes. I know these people. I personally know these people.
Yeah, these are the people we see every day and talk to in our daily lives every day.
Right. Right. And they're part of my personal life. And I loved Queer as Folk. I thought that was great. But this show on Showtime, I hope really explodes this year, because I wanted to tell you it's very, very much needed. What character did you play on the show?
So, you know, actually, I was just a fabulous club goer, you know.
Of course you were.
Right? Like you know, I actually worked on that show for 12 days, which was, you know, a monumental blessing. And don't ask me how it happened. You know, I literally was in every scene. My most prominent scene, I think, that people would probably realize me from is most likely that the club scene where, you know, they're just getting, you know, to meet each other. So.
Wow.
Sorry, there's some fireworks in the background.
Oh, that's okay. Usually I have drilling behind me at this location at PANGEA. So I want to read you a couple of comments anyway. I always love doing this. And I'm blind as a bat, so I have to put my
I am too. It's okay. I got my contacts in.
All right. Yeah, I know. Me too, but mine aren't prescription. They're just to make me fabulous. Okay. So John, Jake, and Griffin, Attell, thank you for tuning in. We got a heart with some love. Cicely Williams, so inspiring. She's an amazing singer, by the way. Shirley Scott, Wendy, I love your wonderful interviews. Thank you, Shirley, for tuning in. Of course, Epic Kate, and you've been on Epic Kate's show.
Hi, Kate.
Hello, Epic Kate in Sweden. I love her to death.
She's a great woman.
Great woman. Hello, beautiful people. And Kate said, so cool to see two people I've had as guests on my channel talking together. And we feel the same about you, Kate. Okay. So I want to get back to the show. And we talked about these stereotypes. So you identify as non-binary. It's okay to talk about this, right? Because you did your interviews. You identify as non-binary. Has that been your whole life, or did you discover this in yourself?
Well, I think there wasn't a term for it then.
Right.
I think it's always been like that. I've always been like that. Maybe since like 7, I would say.
Right.
I always kind of had an idea, you know. So yeah.
What was that like for you, though? Because you were growing up in the system, you know, knowing that about yourself. But a lot of people on my other show, Triversity Talk, is all about this. Every week, you know, we explore an LGBTQ aspect. Mm-hmm. But, you know, a lot of the people on those shows came from families, either, you know, loving mom and dad, supportive, or very Christian, get the hell out. So I'm curious, you know, you came from the system. What was your reality like with the other kids you were friends with?
You know, actually, believe it or not, in the confines of the group home, it was actually okay.
See, I love that is great. And that's something that you just said that a lot of people wouldn't know. So thank you.
Well, these were, you know, these were, you know, kids who, you know, were like my brothers, who are, you know, still to this day, whom I consider, you know, brothers, who would, you know, stick up for me, you know, and, you know, all of those things. There were even staff members, you know, who, you know, protected me and looked out for me. Like, I'm going to give some shout outs now, like Donald Cotere, who's, you know, no longer here, you know, with us. He was a case manager in Maryville Academy, who literally was like a father figure, you know, to me for the 28 years that I've been on this earth. He made sure that, you know, I was fed, I was clothed, and that behavior continued long after I transitioned out of the system. So he was like a father to me. You know, Yash Slaughter, you know, who was, you know, the main person who was responsible for ensuring that we, you know, learned our choreography and that our harmony was correct, you know, at the group home. So these situations, and I'm about to cry again because I love these people.
I love that. I also love that you're saying this, because this is the real nitty gritty that people have to hear. You're sharing something incredible with us today. And I love your gratitude. I mean,
how can I not be grateful? Because I know what could be.
Right.
And you know, these are people who took me to their homes, you know, and to eat with them on Thanksgiving and Christmases, and So we didn't have to feel like we were not in a group home,
Right. Well, they became family in a sense.
They are my family.
They are your
I
family.
love them, and I will always honor them. I love these people.
How do they all feel now with your success and watching how your career has grown? I bet you a lot of them say, "Oh, we could see it back then."
Yesterday, one of them, had a birthday, and I said happy birthday, and he told me that I inspired him. And he remembers that time in his life as a blur because he was the age that I am now, 28 years old, and he only worked there for, a year and a half, 2 years, so, and that's the power of, mentorship and when, people, take time outside of their lives to ensure that our children don't get shipped up the fucking creek, even if their family can't do it.
Right. Thank you. And that's something that all too often happens. So you've really brought to light something that exists, that hearing your positive feedback here today, for me, is everything. I do this show for that reason. Listen, I live in New York. I read the paper. I can, listen to what's going on out there. But when I get somebody like you that shares such incredible, from the heart information, and I know my listeners are taking all this in too, so thank you. I think, by the way, I got to tell you this, on top of everything that you do, I want you to look into becoming a motivational speaker, because you have completely freaking motivated me today, and I know the people that are watching, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
What do you tell yourself as a person in the entertainment business? What do you tell yourself to keep yourself going? Pandemic aside, I've had a lot of really great musicians on this show, people that are writers. What do we have to tell ourselves to keep ourselves going? Because you and I talked, it ain't no cakewalk a lot of the time.
No, it's not a cakewalk. Sometimes you have to get a job. Sometimes you have to ask for loans from friends. But I think what keeps us going is the love for what it is that we do. And just that need to be able to create. And for those who create, you know that it's something that you're supposed to do if you wake up every morning thinking about that thing. That's what you're born to do. And that's what separates the greats from the wannabes is the ones who live it, breathe it, eat it. You've been busy, constantly busy, and then all of the people around me, are always busy. And I just think that staying busy produces excellence. When you begin to doubt yourself is when your output will slow down.
Do you think that there was a point in your career, based by the people that you were surrounded with at that time, did you start to doubt your excellence?
Oh, hell yeah. And I wasn't going, no, hell no. And I wasn't going to allow that to keep happening.
Right.
I'm like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. A mutual friend of ours had to tell me, baby, you don't need to do that. I'm your family. You can call me whenever you want.
I think I know who that mutual friend is, and people do call her day and night.
Yes, I call her day and night. I call another mutual friend. These are, I love these people. These are people who, believe enough in me, and how selective this business is. And if they don't fuck with you, they don't fuck with you.
Right.
And for them to I love them very much. And
I know, and I do too, and we're all feeling the love right now. Now, I'm curious, do you have like a 5-year plan, or you don't like to think that far ahead?
I think the 5-year plan for me is to dominate multimedia, and I will.
Whoa, that That is large, and I love it.
And I will, and there will be nothing and no one to stop me. You can either join me or you can get bulldozed. And
Good for you.
those who know who I'm talking about, this is directed for you. I gave you an opportunity to participate in Dantes, and now the time has come for me to recreate what you have done, but incorporate the technology, the things that you fear and do not understand into the business. So God bless you, and it's our time now.
Good. Well, it's totally your time now, and I love what you just said. I love the power behind what you just said, and incredible for you. You are fierce. Even your name, I have to tell you, when I first heard your name, that's your real name, isn't it?
Well, my middle initial is D. So Dantes, for all of our listeners, I'm going to give you a clue into, or a backstory into Dantes, which is a very appropriate mononym for myself. The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. There's a character named Edmond Dantes in the book, who essentially is the son of a clerk and a captain of a ship. And he is poor, and his best friend, who is the son of a nobleman, is jealous of him because all of in his family, because of all of the good things that happened to them. So all of this takes place during the Napoleonic War. And so as they're out, on a mission together, young Edmond can't read. He's dumb. He can't read. So he does not know that Napoleon has given him a letter to take back to France. So his friend takes the letter, intercepts it, and sets him up. And he gets tossed into the Chateau d'If. And in the Chateau d'If, in prison, this man learns the art of science, mathematics, the tricks of illusion to execute the revenge against all of those who have wronged him. And that is why I chose the name Dantes.
Wow. That is like an incredible story. Very, very incredible story. That name alone has a lot of power to it. And I told you that when I spoke to you on the phone, it really made me angry that when I went on Facebook, I couldn't get the accent over the E.
I know, right? But, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but, come on, Facebook. Come on.
They're good for everything else. They mute your own.
Why can't we get the accent over the E? Well, I think also with the phones, if you have a phone and you're like in France or something, because it's a French name. By the way, it also made me think of Dante's Inferno. It's pronounced a little different.
That's another subtle reference too. Oh, the Inferno is coming and it's continuing, and it can't be stopped.
An Inferno in there, I absolutely did. So that's what I immediately thought about with you.
Oh, it can't be stopped, honey. It can't. The flame is burning and the vengeance will be had.
That's exactly right. It's huge. So let's talk about vengeance, because you know what? Everybody likes to talk about forgiveness. And
I will not talk about forgiveness. You want forgiveness, you talk to Jesus.
I love you to death. You and I are going to make a fortune incorporating that onto a t-shirt.
I'm serious.
That is it. I know you are serious. And yeah. Do you think revenge?
And my God tells me that I don't, I can forgive you, but I ain't got to fuck with you. So in the same token, that's what I'm talking about. I will not forgive you. You want forgiveness? You atone for self.
Yeah.
And the way that you can execute your own justice is to remove the one thing that people crave the most, your love. If they have not given it to you, you remove it from them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Boy, are you... Whoa, you are blowing me away here today. Revenge.
It's just, these are...
Yeah.
I told you, I feel like my life has always been about getting respect.
Right.
And,
I get that.
When you've been abused, your whole entire life, there's no way in hell that I'm going to give you forgiveness as an adult.
Agreed. Do you say your music?
You play my game now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Do you think your music really reflects that? Is that what your music is saying? Is that
Absolutely.
what New Jack City is standing for?
That's exactly what New Jack City stands for. New Jack City is saying fuck you and fuck everybody who
Right.
doesn't like me. I don't give a fuck if you don't like that I have AIDS. I don't give a fuck if you don't like that I make fucking disco, house, EDM, pop music, or R&B. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit because you bitches ain't paying my bills. You ain't giving me no fucking loans. You guys ain't ever helped me do shit. I got here on my fucking own, and I stand on my own fucking merit. So fuck all of those bitches.
There you go. And agreed on all counts. So you just mentioned something that I would like to talk about. AIDS, HIV. I came out of that era. I lost 3 phone books. I had an AIDS organization that I worked with. We took care of the pets of anyone that had HIV or AIDS. Most of my friends passed away in the 80s. Yeah. Okay, with a drug called AZT that basically killed everybody. It was before they had the cocktails. I helped a lot of people get those cocktails. They were off label at the time. You couldn't go to, how can I put this, a system doctor and get them. They were the Dallas Buyer drug.
Oh, yeah. You know, and it just sickens me that the work has stopped. People should be ashamed of themselves.
Let's talk about that. Why is the work stopped?
I won't go any further into my disgust with America and the people who have the power to actually make this shit stop. COVID-19, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. They did a split on that shit.
Yeah. Yep, I totally agree.
Is that not the virus of the same? It may not attack the protein and bind to the DNA.
No, but it's another thing with a spike. We're talking, I'm sorry, you're going to get me into it now. Spiked proteins, okay? That's what we're talking here and how they infect people. You are 100% right. So I say to myself, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah, because it makes you mad.
It makes me mad.
Doesn't it, when you think about all of the people you've lost over the years and all of the people who are still fighting, and we're still being led around like cattle to play the game? Let's not play the game. Let's actually heal people. We know it's making you money, but let's actually heal people. We can heal people who have HIV. We can heal people who have diabetics. We have the power to do all of that, but it's more beneficial to keep people on a subscription-based life sustaining.
More money, Dantès. It's much more money. It's bigger bucks,
But it does not have to be like that. Like, my boyfriend had to wait a whole fucking week to get his medication again. Like, this is the fucking shit that I'm talking about. It's not like the fucking situation is going to change. So if a motherfucker is poor, why the fuck do they have to continue jumping through hoops and all of this shit just to fucking get the help that they fucking need? But you can go get a fucking free fucking COVID shot that's inflaming your fucking goddamn heart. And no disrespect to anybody out there who's gotten one, because I'm going to go get one too. But I'm just saying, that's the rule.
You are 100% right. The story of him waiting a week now for his drugs. I have friends now that have waited for 3 weeks, and it's completely wrong. And I don't, maybe
his body up.
Right.
And I was furious at that. Furious. He didn't, because he's a couple of years younger than me, so he doesn't really understand because of what can happen. Like, if you don't, like, I know what happens if you don't adhere to your.
You also got the inferno in you, Dantès. When you got the inferno in you, that flame is not going to go out, and that rage just makes it explode.
You know what? But see, my steel is tempered, girl. It's tempered. It's so tempered, and I am so humble. Which is why I don't drag people by name. And I don't tell people, say who's who. But people know who they are.
They know who they are, and they have to put their head on a pillow. I have a wonderful person on here, Epic Kate, again. Not giving people the help they need is criminal. I totally agree. And she said yes to motivational speaking for you. We're going to sit on you, Dantès.
Oh, gosh, how am I going to do all of these things?
We are giving you another thing to do. So in the realm of your projects, are you thinking about writing a book?
I am, actually.
I pulled that out of here.
How did you know?
Because I know things. It's a gift and a curse. I also know when people meet me and they don't like me and I have a unicorn horn growing out of the middle of my head. And it's terrible because
that looks scary. I'm like, Jesus, I'm sorry.
You're auditioning and like 3 of them are looking at you and you're like, fuck, the unicorn horn is out again. I don't fit, right? I know You hear me. So let's talk about the book. What are you thinking about doing that?
Oh, it's coming quite soon. Quite soon. I'm thinking most likely probably within the next 6 months to a year. I'm going to try and work with our mutual friend to help get that out there. But I've already started talking about it. It'll most likely be a self-help book / spiritual dirt journeys diary.
Yeah, memoir rolled into that. Look at what your life. People want to know about that life.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think my story is a story that is more reoccurrent than we know about. And, I just want to be able to, put a face to these things, because it's actually nice to go back to, all of the positive people who have, helped in my life,
yes,
and help them out, and do things for them. And, so, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what? You're going to have to promote that book, and you're going to do it as a motivational speaker. So,
ooh, I don't know if they're not gonna let me swear, girl. I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's part of the whole package. We all know about packaging in this industry. That is part of your package, Dantes. It works.
So, like, if I can't say "fuck you, bitch,h," then look, it's just not gonna work.
And we don't even bleep people out on this show. That is the beauty of live stream.
Because it's not something that you say. We're not at some roast where it's just like fuck. Right. But it's just something that you need to say. I need you to understand how the hell I feel. And there is no, hi, please understand how I feel. No, it's fuck, bitch. Do you understand, bitch, that I'm gonna fucking kick your ass if you don't understand what the fuck I'm saying?
There you go.
That needs to happen sometime.
That's exactly how you have to reach people half the time.
You get like that after being oppressed for so long.
I know. I hear you, but that's why you make the wonderful music that you do. So do you have now hopes going forward for this? I'm going to get political on you now, for this administration that we have now. What do you think? What's your true feelings? And I want to go back to like last summer and where the Black Lives Matter march came from and all of that. Let's take that. Let's project into this summer. Tell me your feelings about that.
Last summer was like I felt like we were in Nazi Germany last summer. It was like so bizarre to like see the Capitol like actually be overrun like that. And and I don't think it's actually a thing of race. Okay, maybe just a little bit, but no, it's not true. Because fuck, if it would have been me or your ass, fucking walking up in that bitch, they would have had guns and shit.
Yeah, you better believe that.
Ready to blow our fucking asses away, but because these were like the quack and duck type folks. Ooh, did I say that?
Whoa. Well, you should say that.
They let it go. Right. And I think that for everybody was in a moment for like, okay, America has some serious.
We got issues.
Problems.
Serious issues.
If our president is allowed, like it was literally like he sent the kill order. They were out for poor Mike Pence. Hell, I ain't even no Republican. I didn't want him to get hung. That's fucked up. You shouldn't have to get hung for for doing your job. Like he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, they were taking steps. So how do you feel about now going forward? I mean, the vaccine's been rolled into this new administration and getting as many people vaccinated as possible. And they've rolled back some of the horrible bills that were passed. Some awful things though now for trans people have, they're being put up there. How do you think we're going to be a year from now? Are we going to be better? Are we going to be stuck somewhere? What is your feeling?
I think we're going to be worse, actually.
You think, wow.
I think it's going to be worse, actually. And the reason why it's going to be worse is because until one of our presidents has the balls to admit and the courage to admit that our country has a serious race problem and is actually going to work to fix that shit, then yes, we're still headed for, like, what the fuck's wrong with Biden?
Right.
Like, he talks all that shit. Like, get your ass up, get your old ass up there, and fucking be the uncle that you are for this country. He's Uncle Joe. He's not President Joe. It's Uncle Joe. That's Uncle Joe, because Uncle Joe likes to have a beer and play pool on the weekends. We can let him hear. You know, and do your unclely job and say that we have a problem with racism. And on behalf of the United States government, I am so sorry to all of the Black people, to all of the marginalized people, and let us have a conversation.
Let's have a conversation.
Better race relations amongst people. It's just that simple.
It is. I mean, what you've laid out is that simple. But you know what? I don't know that this is ever going to happen. So guess what? You know, you'll continue to make music. I'll continue to live stream and perform, and that's what we have. That's what we can bring to the party. That is what you and I can control.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and influence the world. Now I want to make sure I get all your handles. So handles.
You guys can always go to Instagram, you know, Dantés Alexander, or gosh, there's so much Instagram. I said Instagram. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Facebook, Dantés Alexander, me, or you could just Google a bit. You know, like just Google a bit.
You're gonna make us work for it.
Yeah, Google. You can Google Dantés, New Jack City, or you can just Google Dantés Alexander, and you will find what you should find.
It's going to make you laugh. The person that we have in common, when I was putting together your promo and everything, I had your name, and I always look for pictures where my guests look really hot, you know, because I want you to look hot, and pull up Dantés Alexander, and I send it to the PR person, and they get back to me. They go, "That's not him."
Oh my God! Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, how funny is that? I hadn't met you, and
he's a handsome guy, though. He's just not me.
I mean, he's not you, but you're a really handsome guy. Really handsome guy. So,
all right, you're pretty too, girl. It ain't nothing. It ain't nothing that a little good light can't fix, girl.
Oh, I look like this even without the good light.
She woke up like that, girl. Woo, woo. See, some of us have to work a little harder. You know, we get those free products and we paint that shit in the morning.
Yeah. Do people give you a lot of free products? It's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You do?
In fact, this is actually what I'm wearing today is actually from Venus for Tuna. Which you guys can actually find on Instagram. Can
you spell the name so we can, Venus, Venus, and spell the next name?
Yes, it's Venus, Venus, Fortuna, Fortuna.
Love that.
And they make fabulous jewelry. And if you guys mention my name, most likely you'll probably get a fabulous discount. So I love this little.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a little bow tie.
Isn't it so like extraordinarily weird and out the box? I love it.
It's just beautiful. We mentioned your name. That's a perk of having you on the show. I'll show you my beautiful gold bracelet gifted to me by the one and only Nick Lyon. You can't order it from him. You have to be his friend. And very high standing. He's a fabulous person, though. And you know what? I love my jewels. Like you do. We love our jewels.
It just started all of a sudden. I think it's because I'm hanging around, you know, Miss E and Mr. Star. You know, they're making me, you know, crave, you know, diamond.
Lux. They're making you crave Lux. And what more could you want than that Lux craving? Dantés, this has been so great having you on here today. I probably was supposed to stop halfway through and, you know, identify my show, but anyone who's watching, you know, it's If These Walls Could Talk today with Dantés Alexander. Didn't want to interrupt that conversation because I love talking to you. When you come to New York, you check me out and Tim Moss. You come to PANGEA. We will totally have a drink. And you don't know, maybe I'll be coming to Chicago. You know, the sky's the limit now.
I know. The world's open again.
The world is open again. Thank you, Dantés. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today.